Hello, welcome to this Computer Weekly video in association with HP. I'm Brian Glick, I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Computer Weekly, and I'm here talking to experts from HP about some of the key issues that are facing IT leaders today. In this video, we're looking at the challenges around how to move your enterprise applications into the cloud. And I'm joined today by Luke Vogelier. Luke is the Solution Lead for Application Transformation to Cloud for HP in Europe. Luke, thanks ever so much for coming along and taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you, Brian, for inviting us for this video.
It's a pleasure. Cloud clearly is a priority area for a lot of IT leaders, evaluating what it means for their organisations and what implications it might have on the various aspects of their IT infrastructure. From an applications perspective, though, why in particular are people looking to move their software into a cloud environment?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Indeed, our customers are expecting two major benefits from the adoption of their applications into the cloud. They are looking, first of all, for more flexible IT services so that they can meet quicker and faster the requirements for the business, and at the same time reduce the cost for managing their IT cost portfolio and related applications. I would say today, definitely, when we talk to our customer, a lot of the cost control is driving the way IT investments are made. But also, at the same time, the increased agility that the cloud is providing by giving us the capability of provision application service no longer in matter of days or weeks, but in a couple of hours, is making significant changes in the way they are providing services to their business. In fact, from a survey that we ran during one of our seminars, we discovered that the customer consider business agility as even a more important benefit from the cloud than the pure IT cost reduction element. Similarly, the cloud and the software as a service delivery model that allows customers to quickly procure applications, pay for the application as they go, is also another element that helps them to better control the IT cost while providing more flexibility for procuring more capacity in terms of their application. This is, again, coming to this point of speed, agility, and cost. And also this delivery model helps definitely to close the gap between the immediacy that the business wants and the capabilities that IT can provide to them.
Of course. Clearly then some very significant benefits that can be achieved from the move, but it's not an insignificant task to make that move. What is so different about running applications in the cloud rather than running them in a traditional in-house type environment?
So when you run an application in the cloud, you expect that this application can benefit from some of the cloud paradigms, which means that it can provide automatically the elasticity to scale up, scale down the infrastructure, be able to burst the service into other cloud config, for example, having a private cloud and bursting into a public cloud during peak periods when you expect the application, so you can get quicker benefits from the cloud. So I would say that's really the benefits that we are expecting. So how do we get there? So properly in-house architect applications that have this capability of dynamically scale up and scale down. Software as a services offering can provide this business with instant elasticity. At the same time, this does not prevent from taking an approach also where you can rapidly re-platform, redeploy in-house applications and package applications that you have into your cloud infrastructure. But in that case, the benefit that you will see will not come from the elasticity, but will come from the operational efficiency that you will obtain through standardization, through the uniformization of the management of the infrastructure. There is also a trend that, from the application perspective, that a lot of your existing package applications may become candidate for being replaced by software as a service. So instead of paying a permanent license depending on your maximum number of users for a yearly basis, you can then go on a pay-per-use base, scale up, scale down the licensing based on the demand. So that software as a service offering must be architected also properly for dealing with that. So we are talking about the element of being multi-tenant, which means that the same application, the same instance can work across multiple customers. And also the application must be able to deal with large volumes of data. This model of running software as a service makes it also different in terms of the software maintenance. It simplifies a lot the software maintenance. So the software provider is automatically providing the critical patch immediately, get new features roll out, and so you are not tempted to skip a version of the software or staying one version, two versions behind. You are always at the edge of the latest features of that software, which is without having done any IT effort to maintain the latest version.
Okay. I mean, lots of issues there, lots of differences, the important differences that you've highlighted there, Luke. What would you pick out as the most important considerations that software developers and IT leaders need to have when they're starting to transform their applications to work in a cloud environment?
I think the most important is that it needs to be carefully planned and constructed in terms of building the transformation that you need. It is very important to assess first the application readiness for running into the cloud. There are many parameters that may be a roadblock for your application to move to the cloud. You must see if the security risk is acceptable, if the business criticality and the service level agreement is compatible with what is your expectation. You must ensure that you are not dependencies on specific hardware devices that are not provided in the cloud. You must ensure that because of the automation, the application can be restarted automatically, that it fits the templates in terms of the platforms that are provided by the cloud provider. So that's a very important element that you need to consider for your application. So again, planning, assessing the application portfolio is a very important element from that perspective. So once you build those applications, when you look for those applications, you look really to make in a way that process, applications, data are independent and not tightly connected to each other, so that you can move elements of your applications and different applications across the cloud into different providers, and that last but not least, I mean, this is most important, is that you must consider that an application that runs in the cloud must be accessible through the internet and use the internet as the protocol for using that application.
Yeah. For most large organisations, the reality is they might have a state of perhaps several hundred software applications that they're using in various parts of the business. That's a huge task to try and think about migrating that to the cloud. Can any application be migrated to the cloud? Could they look at any of those? How do you go about deciding which ones to do first, which ones should move, which ones shouldn't move? Mm.
Yeah, indeed. No, not all applications are suitable for cloud migration. So typically we are looking to, first of all, when we do the assessment of the application portfolio, we will look at applications which are targeting for short-term or mid-term decommissioning, applications with special security requirement, complex service level agreement, dedicated hardware, as I mentioned previously, are not good candidates for the cloud and maybe remain in traditional data centers. Also, we are looking in terms of the application variability of computing demand and see how this may impact. So an application that typically for the cloud must have variable power consumption so that it can be dynamically adjust itself. And last, also, you must look at acceptable latency in terms of user interface, acceptable latency in terms of communication with other applications. So we very often look at application packages that work together and where we have a demand in terms of latency for working together. So once the assessment is completed, which is, I think, the most important point to understand those applications, then we can build a migration plan. And the migration plan then will be done through, I would say, three major approaches. The first approach I would see is what we call a rehost or replatforming, which is really the non-invasive approach where we basically lift and shift an existing application as is to the cloud. No code changes. Code changes are minor. No changes on the business logic. So sometimes the application is able to scale out and provide capabilities in the cloud. Of course, what we need in all scenarios, and definitely in this one as well, is proper testing, regression testing, performance testing before putting in production. But that's what we see mostly. I would say 40–50% of applications that we move in that scenario would fit there. Second element, second approach would be the replacement of applications. So some custom application may not make sense to be maintained further and can be replaced by software as a service. The same exists for example, typically we see this in the space of CRM applications where in-house built CRM application or existing packaged CRM application are replaced by CRM offerings in the cloud. From that perspective, for example, we can make sense of our HP Microsoft Dynamics CRM offering that we have in the cloud. So such alternative provide the features, benefit, the elasticity to grow up and grow down the demand in terms of the licensing that you use as an offering. Third offering, or third approach, is really about re-architecting or re-engineering, refactoring the application. This is really the most intrusive one. This is the typical approach that we will have for legacy code like COBOL, PL1, RPG type of code. So even if we port them as is to the cloud, it will not work in a decent framework for running in the cloud. It will not be engineered to leverage cloud infrastructure. It will not be leverage the cloud capabilities. So we should consider to rewrite those applications on top of modern languages such as .NET Java in the context of platforms that are built for the cloud and can take advantage of the cloud, like Microsoft Azure, for example. So also looking at expanding those applications to expose their functionality as a services, so that instead of having a monolithic application coming from this legacy platform, we have now an application exposing services and can easier be integrated with other applications. Even application written in modern language may require some re-engineering, some refactoring. So, for the reason I mentioned earlier, we want to take advantage of cloud. We want to take advantage of this elasticity of cloud. We want to take advantage of being able to move the application from one server to another, to restart it automatically without user intervention. So that may means that we re-engineer so that we can take advantage and design or redesign those applications for making good usage during peak usage with the minimum of performance degradation. So there are other coding techniques that are used in this context. So I would say across those three factors is important, but the most important point is definitely understanding the application portfolio, understanding which applications are targeting for cloud, understanding which one will remain, and understanding the investments that have to be made across those three scenarios for moving the application to the cloud and the business benefits that you can get from it.
We're still at the relatively young days, the early days of the cloud, and of making the move to transform your applications into the cloud. But can you give us perhaps some examples of one or two customers that you've worked with who have been through this road, or at least started down it, and some of the experiences that they've had?
Yeah. So you are right. We are in the early stage. We have many of our large international projects are currently work in progress in terms of the deployment of the cloud. The first one I want to mention is an international global institution offering banking, investment, life insurance, retirement services. Their strategy is to concentrate on their position as a retail and direct and commercial banking, while creating a base for an independent future eventually of their insurance and investment management operations, so kind of diversifying those operations. So the point here is that we offer our HP Enterprise Cloud Services data center agreement to consolidate all the firm applications and technology into an hybrid cloud setting with HP Computing. So the cloud migration will offer a new data center service, and in the context of this, we from an application perspective are looking to migrate all the back-end services, utility applications, business application, business processes into the cloud. And this is a volume of 2,500 applications to be moved into that context, which is currently work in progress and using different techniques. We have also the scenario of a large energy utility that moved to utility-based private cloud computing environment. So that will support also for improving speed, deployment. Green IT also is a very element, and lowering the cost. Again, we are using our HP Enterprise Utility cloud services. And so in this scenario, we are also looking to migrate their applications, to re-platform their application from the current environment into the cloud. These are very large scenarios where we talk about several hundreds of applications. I would say at the other end, we have also the ability of doing smaller engagements, and we have a scenario where we do a funeral planning and concierge service company, where we are hosting their demand, the solution for the customer contact center, providing customer with on-demand research capabilities. And this is based on top of our Microsoft Dynamics CRM and the service that we provided, and also some additional business processes services that we provide for this company. The advantage, they move to the Microsoft Dynamics CRM software, and so they come now to a service where they have a real pay-per-seat approach.
Great experiences from some of those early adopters, but of course, most people are right at the start or about to start on this sort of process. So, by way of summary, Luc, what would be, your top tip to somebody who was just about to start on the road of modernising the applications for the cloud?
Yeah. So, from my experience with some of our large customers, I discovered that it is important not to rush to the cloud without a proper evaluation of which application are candidates for the cloud, understanding the effort for transforming them to the cloud, and do a proper planning. So we see customers that have a very modern cloud data center, but then are struggling to define how their application will be moved into that scenario. So I would say start by defining your target cloud architecture. Many of our large enterprise customers goes for a private cloud with an hybrid model where they can burst and consume resources from a public cloud at the same time. Then properly assess the entire application portfolio, especially against the cloud architecture
bless you. Sorry. You were doing so well.
Okay.
Right, I'll do the same. I'll cue you up again.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's all right, don't worry. It happens. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Some great examples there, Luke, of some of the organisations that you've worked with who are already establishing some of the best practice for moving to the cloud. But of course the reality is that most organisations are just at the start of the process of looking at the cloud. And by way of summary of everything that you've talked about, what would be the top tip that you would give to an organisation that's just starting out on the road to transform their applications for cloud computing?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Brian. Yes, indeed. I've seen a lot of customers, and what we realize is, and my recommendation is, don't rush to the cloud without a proper evaluation of the applications that are candidate for running in the cloud. We see many customers adopting very modern new data center based on cloud, and then after struggling by deciding which application have to run, and run sometimes half-empty data centers. So definitely you should start by defining what is your target cloud architecture. Typically for large customer, we are talking about a private cloud complemented with public cloud for bursting capabilities and some software as a service and other consumption that we can have in that context. Then once you have your target cloud defined, properly assess the entire application portfolio, assess how you can transform it against the target architecture you have, and then for the applications, select the right modernization strategy in line with the business benefit expected and the cost and the benefit expected from the cloud. Another recommendation I have, because we often talk about a very large volume of applications to be moved, we talk about the speed to get in the cloud. I recommend also to use specialized teams, or what we should call factories, that use standard tools, standard processes, dedicated teams to speed up the migration. And they would also then include the proper regression testing, performance testing, so that the quality of the new services provided to the cloud secure the business consumer that the quality of the service is meeting their initial demand. And I would say, last but not least, you should complement it with a very strong monitoring of the business outcome process with a governance process. So having a program management team in place that control this transformation, that controls all the actors for the transformation, and make sure that the business outcomes are meeting the initial demand.
Marvellous. Luke, thank you ever so much for your great advice and for sharing your knowledge with us. Thanks very much to you for watching. We've been talking about the process of application transformation to the cloud. I'd like to thank Luke Vogelier from HP for bringing his expertise to this subject. Thanks to all of you for watching, and hope to see you on another Computer Weekly video soon. Bye-bye.